In this episode, I share 11 key takeaways from my shakedown hike in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Hey, it's Dave. I'm an aspiring AT thru-hiker who has most of the gear that I need for my Appalachian Trail Thru-Hike. However, I need to test it out. So in this video, I perform my shakedown commentary based on the video that I put out a few days ago with my shakedown hike. This is all the behind the scenes, so hopefully you'll gain from this. I go through, like I said, 11 key takeaways. They're grouped in sections so that you can follow along. If you have any comments, please put them in the description. I'm always willing to learn, especially from people who have already hiked the Appalachian Trail. So without further ado, my first key takeaway. My footwear, I'm wearing the Altra Lone Peak 6. They are a wide shoe with a wide toe box. They're zero drop shoe. They have really good cushioning. I bought them one size up. I might need to go up another size, but right now I lace down the I'll call it the heel collar or the collar of the shoe to keep my foot back while I'm going up and down mountains, and it seems to have done well. So my key takeaways from wearing these shoes: it was a very wet, muddy trail. It was fairly cold. It was in the 30s for a good portion of the hike, especially early in the morning. And when I got to the top of the mountain in the middle, it probably ranged in the 40 degrees. However, they shed water nicely. The Ultras, they soaked up quite a bit of the water, but then as you walked, they just pushed all the water out, and they warmed up fairly quickly. I was wearing some Injinji socks, so that was a lightweight sock. If it were colder, I would probably be wearing more of a liner with wool socks. So anyhow, the con from wearing the Ultra was when I first got them, I felt like there was too much cushion under my arch. I like having a free-floating arch. As a physical therapist, I believe that's how our foot is designed, that when our toe goes up, then our arch tightens out. And if you have too much pressure on that arch, it can lead to problems, in my humble opinion. So I've included links in the description below of everything that I'm going to be talking about today. My trekking poles, number 2, I have the Mountain Smith Dolomite 7075 OLS. They have adjustable levers. I have them, I bought it in the light blue. Let me show you. It is actually this pole. It has the cork, which feels really comfortable in my hand. It has the adjustable levers, which I have already said, and it has this soft strap. When I put my hand like this to hike, it's very comfortable. No abrasions, no feeling of getting blisters or anything, and my arthritic thumbs don't really even feel the pressure when I put these on. I don't feel like it's bothering me all too much. So that's with the trekking poles. Number 3, the backpack. I used my Mountain Smith Lookout 40-liter pack, which is back here. And that is not what I intend on using for the Appalachian Trail, but I was using that to feel the weight on my back and the size of what a 40-liter will kind of present when I fill it up with my Appalachian Trail gear. I felt like it was too small to do the trick when it comes to adding more gear. There was really no room. Once I got what I had, I'm going to have a lot more food. I'll carry more water, and I will have a little bit more clothes, as you'll see later in the video. So I'm going to be going with the Durston Kakwa 55. Again, link in the description for that. The number 4 are my socks. I wore the Injinji lightweight mini crew socks. I like toe socks because they help to prevent blisters. The socks that I wore, there were no rubs. They felt very good. They were soaking wet, but they didn't get too cold. And I think coupled with the amount of water that I was dispelling out of the Ultras, they kind of work together. If it gets really cold, as I've stated before, I'm going to put sock liners, which I have the Injinji sock liners, and wool socks. That will work really well. On the second day, I used the second pair of Injinji Mini Crew. Yeah, the Mini Crew sock. And I just need to make sure that I can dry them out in between. However, if I start the day with wet socks, my feet warm up fairly quickly as long as it's not brutally cold outside. Number 5, thermoregulation. I dressed in 2 layers on the top. I'm a very warm hiker, especially when I'm going up hills. And I found that I had a lightweight wool hoodie. It was a smart wool. I think you saw it in the previous video. And I also have my rain shell, which is my Marmot precip, which I have another video that I showed that and how much bigger it is than it was before I started doing the carnivore diet. So I might, I might get to it. The bottoms, I wore some nylon wind pants on day 1. That's not going to happen on the Appalachian Trail. I'm going to get some new pants. I also added wool tights underneath on day 2 with the nylon pants. So my key takeaways are the tops kept me warm, but I would like to have a mid layer. I felt that the light layer with the Marmot precip on a cold day just didn't pull the wet or the cold away from my body enough. I feel like the base layer was fine, but I need a mid layer, and I'm going to look into either a very lightweight fleece or a lightweight wool mid layer, like a quarter zip, and I'll try that. As far as the bottoms, yeah, I need a more appropriate shell layer for that. I just had the nylon pants, and because I'm losing weight, I haven't bought the pants yet. So that's coming soon, definitely, because I'm going to be going out on colder and colder hikes. I also want something when I do get those that's more breathable, and the wool tights as the underlayer worked perfectly. I don't need to worry about those, but I realized that I had the wool tights, but I don't have a sleeping pair of pants, and I have to figure that out, probably buy another piece of clothing. Clothing changes. I need to know when to change my clothes. I tend to overheat and then rush to change my clothes. Start to get cold, wait, and then add something. So I need to just make those adjustments. So my key takeaways is change before I get too sweaty. Also adding if I get too cold, so adding more clothes if I get too cold, because I tend to wait too long. So that brings me to pacing, number 7. I started off very slowly on my shakedown hike to gain an understanding of a pace wearing a backpack. I didn't want to go anaerobic during the uphills, so I went really slowly. I worked my way in. My key takeaways is I need to get used to hiking in a slower pace. I tend to get into the groove, but sometimes a day hike is different than a through hike. Well, all the times a day hike is going to be different than a through hike because I got to get up and do it the next day. So I want to slow my pace down, at least for the first couple weeks when I'm out on the trail, so that I can gain a better understanding of, okay, my body responds this way. I need to get used to carrying a pack for longer distances. I carried it for about 10 and a half miles on this trail. However, it was day 1. I need to maybe do a little longer trail. I need to do back-to-back trails, and I need to get used to carrying the pack in general. I also need to stop more frequently so I can take water breaks, rest breaks, and food breaks, and also couple that with actually getting water at a stream or putting on or taking off clothing, not wait too long. The other thing with that is I need to understand my personal limitations. I have to hike my own hike. I felt like hiking this solo was really good for me because when I'm hiking with my friends, I tend to hike a little faster than I normally would and not take breaks hardly at all. Because when I catch up to them, they've already had their break. They put their packs on and off they go. So that's something I need to look into. Number 8, eating on the go. I tend to eat too little on the trail, and I've kind of talked about this, and I stop too infrequently. I need to also learn how much food I need to carry on the trail and how much I'm going to actually eat, because I want to get in a lot of calories while I'm on the trail, but I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to underdo it. I'll most likely underdo it more so than overdo it. But my key takeaways are: take more scheduled break, have food easily accessible in like a belt pocket or even a fanny pack, which I put in the front, not in my fanny, and separate out the correct amount of food for the day, like a ration for the day. And number 9, hydration on the go. I tend to not drink enough water when I'm hiking. I don't like to stop and get water. I don't like to stop at streams again because the streams are always down and I have to, it's a big kind of mess when I'm hiking. That's something I'll have to get over though, right? My key takeaways: pay attention to the signs of dehydration, lightheadedness, dry lips, eyes and mouth, dizziness, fatigue, frequency, volume, and color of my urine. Drink more frequently in larger volume, make it easier to get at my water bottles, or get a hose that I can add to a water bottle in a chest pocket so that I can continue to sip throughout the day. I also want to practice more with my Katadyn Be-Free water filter and learn how to maintain it, because that'll be a big deal when I'm out on the trail. I'm going to batch my food, water, and my rest breaks. I had mentioned it a little earlier. And don't get summit fever. And what I mean by that is we tend to think of, oh, I have to get up this mountain. I'll stop and rest when I get there, instead of picking a point, just, hey, it's time to stop and rest and feel more refreshed when I'm hiking up. Number 10, my sleep system. I have the Zenbivy 25-degree quilt, which kept me warm. I have my sleeping pad, my Big Agnes Repeat SL insulated with a 4.2 R value. I have the pillow that I used is the Outdoor Vitals pillow. It's the one that you can get for $6.95 if you sign up for their mailing list. And it's, I guess that's a free plus shipping sort of deal. And then my key takeaways: my sleeping quilt and pad are a perfect combination for me, down to 25 degrees, which is roughly what I experienced the night on my shakedown hike when I was sleeping. It was very warm, so I don't have any trouble with that. And the pillow, I'm a side sleeper, so the Outdoor Vitals pillow did not work very well, and I decided to just use, I don't know, it's like a 4 or 5 inch piece of foam that I had a chunk of it in my car, and so I just use that as my side sleeper. I might actually cut it down and kind of create a prototype for side sleepers, because I can't sleep with a pillow that my head makes me do this. So overall, number 11, my backpacking gear. So I'm going to kind of put it all together here. forgot my tent stakes, so I didn't actually sleep in my tent because I have the Durston gear, whatchamacallit. Oh my goodness, X-Mid Pro 2. And I couldn't set it up. The tent stakes were in my friend's truck, which I left him there after our last hike. So I need to, number 2, or B, I need to get a good mid layer for my top. I spoke about that. A good pair of real hiking pants, something that, it doesn't have to be fully waterproof, but they need to be windproof, a little more durable than my silly nylon pants that I was wearing. That brings me to my backpack, the Kakwa 55. Will have enough room, and I'll be able to roll down the top and compress it very well. So that's a big key takeaway for me. Until this weekend, I didn't know if I was going to use that or the 40 liter. So I'm going to go with the 55 liter. Another thing I need to learn how to pack more efficiently. I think I did a good job based on what I had in the pack, but I know I'm going to put more in it and be able to like separate out like food for the day versus food for dinner or breakfast, where I don't need it to be super accessible until I get to camp or in the morning before I leave camp. And I need to go on more shakedown hikes. There you have it. I still have lots to learn before I head out to the Appalachian Trail, but I am getting closer. Let me know in the comments below other things that I should pay attention to, because I know that there are some experts out there who will help share for me and for others what it takes to get ready for the Appalachian Trail. So if you haven't done so, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and as always, happy hiking.